So we are reading the Fifth Agreement by Don Miguel. We are on the dream of the second attention, the warriors, page number 85 of the PDF.
The dream of the second attention, the warriors. The first time that we learn how to dream, there are many things that we don't like, that we are against, but we just accept the dream as it is. Then, for whatever reason, we become aware that we don't like the way we are living our lives. We become aware of what we are dreaming and we don't want that dream. Now we try to use the attention a second time to change our dream. Now we try to use the attention a second time to change our dream, to create a second dream. This is what the Toltec called the dream of the second attention, or the dream of the warriors, because now we declare a war against all the lies in our knowledge.
So this is beautiful, right? In the first attention, we are the victim, right? We are just being, we are in what we are and we are believing the lies that are all around us. Now in the second attention, we are becoming aware of what we are in. So we are getting aware of the Maya that is all around us, the lie or the dream that is all around us. And we want to take steps to change it, right? To empower ourselves within the dream.
In the dream of the second attention, we begin to doubt. Maybe everything I learn is not the truth. We begin to challenge what we believe. We start to question all the opinions that we learn. We know there is something in our head that makes us do many things that perhaps we don't want to do. Something that has complete control of our mind, and we don't like it. And because we don't like it, at a certain point, we begin to rebel.
So again, the most important thing in really transcending something is to start questioning it. Is it working for me? Is it taking me towards the destination that I want to go to? Is it fulfilling my goals? It is taking me to my goals, right? Is it allowing me to transcend my goals or transcend whatever I am going through or where I want to go? So questioning that allows you to start understanding whether something is working or not. So the doubt is very, very important. So this is something again which Robert Monroe also talks about, that once we start understanding that we are operating out of a belief system, we get to know that we are operating out of illusions, and the number of illusions that we drop willingly, right? That is what takes us towards our freedom. And the next step is to then again watch our thoughts. How are we being? How are we doing once the illusions have been dropped?
In that rebellion, we try to recover our authenticity, what I call the integrity of the self, or the totality of what we are. In the dream of the first attention, the authentic self has no chance. It's a complete victim. We don't rebel, we don't even try. But now we no longer want to be the victim and we try to change our world. We try to recover our personal freedom, the freedom to be who we really are, the freedom to do what we really want to do. The world of the warriors is the world of trying. We try to change the world that we don't like, and we keep trying and trying and trying. And the war looks endless.
So again, we are trying to change what is happening, right? Now, naturally, when we are trying, we are making an effort, but the game is actually to shift into effortlessness, which I think will come in the next attention. But the fact of the matter here is that we want to recover our personal freedom. We want to start becoming free. And that is why we need to drop the illusions which are holding us in a victim mentality.
In the dream of the warriors, we are in a war. but that war is not against other people. It has nothing to do with the outside dream. The whole thing is happening inside our mind. It's a war against the part of our mind that makes all the choices that guide us into our parallel hell. It's a war between the authentic self and what we call the tyrant, the big judge, the book of law, the belief system. It's a war between ideas, between opinions, between beliefs. I also call it the war of the gods because all these ideas fight for dominion of the human mind. And just like the gods of antiquity, they claim a human sacrifice.
So again, it's all happening inside our head. We have to understand one thing very clearly, that we create our reality, right? And since we create our reality which we experience externally is actually generated inside our head. So if we change the perspective with which we are looking at something, everything starts to shift. So if we shift our belief system, if we transcend our belief system, everything around us will also start to move. It will get changed.
Yes, the human sacrifice we offer to the gods is still happening, even if we claim that we don't believe in human sacrifice anymore. Of course, we change the names of the gods, we change the meaning of all those symbols that we call God. Perhaps we no longer believe in Apollo, we no longer believe in Zeus, we no longer believe in Osiris, but we believe in justice, we believe in liberty, we believe in democracy. These are the names of the new gods. We give our power to these symbols. We take them to the realm of the gods, and we sacrifice our lives in the name of these gods.
So again, gods will always change according to the circumstances. What is more important, or what we feel will help us to gain freedom, that is what we put our faith into.
Human sacrifice is happening all the time, all around the world, and we can see the result. We see violence, we see crime, we see jails full of people. We see war, we see the dream of hell in humanity because we believe in so many superstitions and distortions in our knowledge. Humans create wars and we send our young to be sacrificed in those wars. Many times they don't even know what they are fighting for.
So again, we are constantly fighting, right? We are constantly fighting for something or the other. But most of the time, we really don't know what we are fighting for. And that's the sad part, right? Some people have a umbrage or something like that, and then the whole thing starts to go down the drain. But again, wars are ultimately not to the benefit of the many.
We see a war of gangs in any large city. Young people sacrifice themselves and kill one another in the name of pride, in the name of profit, in the name of whatever God they believe in. They fight for their pride. They fight for control of a piece of land. They fight for a symbol that's in their heads and on their jackets. And they sacrifice themselves. From the smallest barrio to the largest nations around the planet, we see groups of people fighting and defending their gods for something that doesn't exist. The war is raging inside their heads, but the problem is that they send the war outside of themselves and kill one another.
So they are defending their gods for something that doesn't exist, right? So it can be that a god is like an opinion, and we are fighting to defend our opinion. And what is something which should be inside us, we take it outside, and then it lands up creating lots of problems for everyone.
Perhaps we no longer believe in human sacrifice, but right now there are people who say, I will be the one who sacrifices. Give me a gun, and I will kill as many people as I can before they kill me. And this is not a judgment, it's just the way it is. I will not say that human sacrifice is wrong. It just exists, and we cannot deny that it exists because we see it every day In many different cultures around the world, we see it and we also participate in it. If someone makes a mistake and is caught breaking a rule, what do? Let's crucify him, let's judge him, let's gossip about him. That's another form of human sacrifice. Yes, there are rules, and maybe it's the biggest sin to go against those rules, and maybe some of the rules are completely unnatural. But we create the rules, we agree to live by those rules, and we will follow those rules until we no longer need them, and right now we need them.
So again, belief systems, right? The rules are created by the belief systems. And if we are living in an environment, we have to follow the rules of the belief system that are existing in that environment. If we don't follow it, naturally we will be punished. So the idea is to actually transcend. And where are most of the belief systems created? Inside our head, right? So we need to transcend our belief systems inside our head rather than outside. But we are constantly focusing on the outside. So the internal belief systems keep operating and they control us, right? The idea is to become aware of what are the ideas that are actually controlling us. That is when we'll go towards freedom.
Humans believe in so many lies that even the smallest thing becomes a big demon that makes us suffer. Usually, it's just a judgment, and mainly it's a self judgment. Poor me. Look what happened to me when I was 9 years old. Look what happened to me last night. Well, whatever happened in your past is not truth anymore. It could be the most horrible thing, but right now it's not the truth. Because right now is the only truth you live in. Whatever happened in your past is in the virtual reality, and whatever happened to your body was healed long ago. But the mind can make you suffer and live in shame for years.
So again, living in the now, right? That is the only thing that we have. But most of the time, we are either living in the past or we are living in the future. So the more, because what has happened already, it's in the past, it's a memory, right? What's going to happen in the future is an assumption. We really don't know. But what is happening right now is what the truth is all about. But we mostly focus on the past or in the present or in the future. We are hardly ever in the present, but all the action takes place in the present.
Humans carry our past, our history around with us, and it's just like we're carrying a heavy corpse. For some, it's not that heavy, but for the majority of people, that corpse is very heavy. And it's just not just heavy, it smells very bad. What many of us do is keep our corpse to share with the ones we love. With the powerful memory we have, we bring it to life in the present moment and relive our experiences again and again and again. Every time we remember those experiences, we punish ourselves and everybody else again and again and again.
So again, we come back to the three states of consciousness that were mentioned in Zero Limits. Actually, it was in the videos that we saw. The three states that we can operate on again are we can operate from memory, we can operate from inspiration, and we can operate from zero. Most of us are always operating from memory, right? So that memory is something which has happened in the past, but we are allowing it to influence everything that we are doing in the present, right? So that is that heavy corpse we are carrying. We are not operating out of the present as to what needs to be done right now, but it's always colored by the memory. So what is actually the operator here is the memory. It is not yourself, not your awareness, not your self, authentic self, which is acting, because the authentic self will always act in the moment. It is not going to be affected by the memory, but the ego mind gets affected by the memory. And that's how we normally act. So we are carrying the corpse of the past with us, which affects our present moment.
Humans are the only animals on earth who punish themselves 1,000 times or more for the same mistake and who punish everybody else 1,000 times or more for the same mistake.
So again, when we constantly keep thinking of that, we keep rehashing the memory, we create a huge problem for ourselves because it becomes like a broken down record player and every thought that we have consumes energy. So when I'm doing biofield tuning, I find when the sunstar gets stuck at the mouth level, the guy is going into roundabout thinking, right? So we are constantly beating ourselves up. Now, if you look at yourself, what are you normally thinking of? Things which went wrong. We hardly ever think of things which went good, right? So we are constantly beating ourselves down and we punish ourselves by re-remembering the past mistake rather than saying that, okay, I made the mistake. Now, what do I do about it so that the next time it doesn't occur?
How can we talk about injustice in the rest of the world when there is no justice in the world inside our own head? The entire universe is ruled by justice, but by true justice, not by the distortion of justice that we artists have created.
So now this becomes very important again. There is only one truth, right? But we have created our own version of the truth. And that is how we create an opinion, we create a judgment about everything around us. Rather than just observing what is, we start putting our facade over everything that we are experiencing.
True justice is facing what I call action reaction. We live in a world of consequences. For every action, there's a reaction. True justice is to pay one time for every mistake we make. And how many times do we pay for every mistake? Obviously, this is not justice.
So, who makes us pay? We ourselves make ourselves pay. No one else makes us pay.
Let's say that you're living with guilt and shame for a mistake that you made 10 years ago. The excuse for your suffering is, I made a terrible mistake. And you think you're still suffering from something that happened 10 seconds ago. You judged yourself again for the same mistake, and of course, the big judge says you need to be punished. It's simple action reaction. The action is self judgment. The reaction is self punishment in the form of guilt and shame. All your life, you repeat the same action, hoping to have a different reaction, and it never happens. The only way to change your life is to change the action, and then the reaction will change.
So again, we are constantly judging ourselves. We are constantly criticizing ourselves. We are constantly beating ourselves down, right? That's the worst thing that we can do to ourselves because we are doing it to ourselves, right? Now, if you made a mistake and you've followed a certain process which has resulted in a mistake, then you have to change the process that you're using, right? You cannot expect a different result if you're using the same process. So the example I keep using is that if I'm using the process to make aloo jeera, I cannot expect aloo dum. I have to change the process. I have to change the action to get a different reaction, to get a different result, right? So it's very important to notice what are the actions that we are taking, which is creating a particular result. And if we do not like that result, we need to change the process. We need to change the actions that we are taking.
Can you see how you, knowledge, are hurting you, the human? You're thinking and judging with all those symbols that you learned. You're creating a story that's abusing the human. Whenever the human is abused, the normal reaction is anger, hate, jealousy, or any of the emotions that makes us suffer. Our nervous system is a factory of emotions, and the emotions we experience depend on what we perceive. Well, we perceive our own judgments, our own self belief system, our own voice of knowledge.
So again, this is very important, right? What will we perceive? That what we resonate with. So many times there are many studies and investigations going on, but if you what they say is that who's the sponsorer of that particular investigation or that trial process, right? Now, many of the times, the person who's funding the trial process has already told the investigator that I want this kind of a result. So now the investigator is looking, or the scientist is looking for that particular result. So now, if he's looking for that result, then that is the result that he's going to perceive, right? So whatever we are setting ourselves up to perceive, that is what we will perceive, right? So whatever we are doing, we have to see what we are doing.
And with the judge, the victim, and the belief system ruling our virtual world, the emotions we generate are fear, anger, jealousy, guilt, shame. What else can we expect to create? Love? Of course not, though sometimes we do. The word is a force you cannot see, but you can see the manifestation of that force, the expression of the word, which is your own life. The way to measure the impeccability of your word is by your emotional reaction. Are you happy or are you suffering? If you're enjoying your dream or suffering your dream, it's because you're creating it that way. Yes, your parents, your religion, the schools, the government, the entire society helped you to create your dream. And it's true that you never had a choice, but now you have a choice. You can create heaven or you can create hell. Remember, both are states of mind that exist within you.
So again, coming back to the grid, right? Which side of the grid are you operating from? Are you enjoying? Are you being uplifted, or are you being depleted, right? Again, it's all in your mind. So how do you shift? How do you rehash what is happening in your system to make you shift from the left to the right, right? Of course, our situation, our scenario has created whatever we are experiencing, but how it is occurring to us is all within us. It is not something that is outside of us.
Do you like to be happy? Then be happy and enjoy your happiness. Do you like to suffer? Great, then why not enjoy your suffering? If you choose to create hell, good for you. Cry, have pain, make a masterpiece of art with your pain. But if you have awareness, there is no way you are going to choose hell. You are going to choose heaven. And the way to choose heaven is by being impeccable with your word.
So again, if you're impeccable with your word, you'll always operate on the right side of the grid, and you're going into an uplifting direction. Things are going to shift for you in the way that you would like them to shift. And of course, it's all about awareness, being aware that we are being impeccable with our word.
If you're impeccable with your word, how can you judge yourself? How can you blame yourself? How can you carry guilt or shame? When you are not creating all those emotions, you feel wonderful. Now you smile again and it's completely authentic. You don't have to pretend to be a certain way. You don't try to be what you are not. Whatever you are is what you will be in that moment. In that moment, you accept yourself just the way you are.
So again, all the facades drop, right? Once you're authentic with your word, you're impeccable with your word, there is no facade left. What is, is. Yes, Mukul Babi? Mukul Babi, you raised your hand.
Yeah, no, the para before, when we were speaking about you choose heaven and you decide to be happy. So yeah, we have to be very sure that our happiness does not depend upon anyone else. It is
Absolutely.
totally, you may want certain things in a certain manner. They will not always happen the way you would want it, but you still have to choose to be happy, and it is upon yourself to be happy. Even
101%.
though things will not happen, if we expect every time things to happen your way, that will not happen, right?
Absolutely. So how any situation is occurring to you is in your hands. How are you relating to that particular event, to that particular person, to that particular happening is in your hands. Are you experiencing it from the left side of the grid, or are you experiencing it from the right side of the grid? The moment you are experiencing it from the left side of the grid, you're creating your own hell. The moment you experience it from the right side of the grid, you're creating an opportunity. So let's say something is going wrong, right? Now you can say, "Arey Baba, ye ho gaya, ye kyun ho gaya, kaise ho gaya?" That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, I'm grateful that this has come into the forefront so that I can deal with it. Otherwise, it would be hidden and maybe it would act like a dimak and eat my entire organization up.
Okay.
Now, the event is the same, right? But how are you looking at it? How is it occurring to you?
Yeah.
That is what this game is all about.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why he says very clearly, right? You are going, I mean, 1 second over here. If you choose hell, you create hell. If you cry, have pain, make a masterpiece of art with your pain. But if you have awareness, there's no way that you're going to choose hell. You're going to choose heaven. So when we start operating out of awareness, generally speaking, we will rehash whatever we are experiencing in such a way that it puts us on the right side of the grid.
Yeah.
That's the, I mean, the grid is fantastic. I mean, this entire book also can be summarized in the grid, literally speaking.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You like yourself, you enjoy being with yourself, you no longer abuse yourself by using the symbols against yourself.
So again, I was doing a biofield tuning for one person today. I mean, this was, I think, the third session. And I asked her a question. Would you like to be with yourself? Would you like to be with yourself? That is a question that we need to ask ourselves. Are we the kind of person who someone else, or rather, why someone else? Would we like to be with ourselves? And if the answer is no, then we really need to look at how we are living life. What are we doing? And what is our belief systems which are making us be like that? And we need to transcend it. We need to shift ourselves so that we can be with ourselves. We should enjoy being with ourselves. This is the first thing I think we need to learn about ourselves. Because if you don't like being with you, then who's going to like to be with you?
That's why I have to repeat that it's so important to be aware. The tyranny of the symbols is extremely powerful. In the dream of the second attention, the warrior tries to find out how the symbols took power over the human. The whole war of the warrior is against the symbols, against our own creation, and it's not because we hate the symbols. The symbols are a masterful creation, they are our art, and it's convenient for us to use all those symbols to communicate. But when we give all our power to those symbols, we become powerless and we need to be rescued. We need a savior because we don't have the power to make it on our own.
So again, symbols over here can be equated with belief systems. What are the belief systems with which we are operating, right? And the belief systems are actually controlling us. And the only way to transcend them is to start becoming aware that we are operating out of a belief system. Once we start becoming aware, we take the power back in our hand from the belief systems.
The symbols are a masterful creation, they are our art, and it's convenient for us to use all those symbols to communicate. But when we give all our power to those symbols, we become powerless and we need to be rescued. We need a savior because we don't have the power to make it on our own. Then we look outside ourselves and say, "Oh God, please save me." But it's not up to God or Jesus or Buddha or Moses or Muhammad or any other master, shaman or guru to save us. We can't blame them if they don't save us. Nobody can save us because nobody else is responsible for whatever happens in our virtual world. The priest, the minister, the rabbi, the shaman, or the guru cannot change our world. Our husband or our wife, our children or our friends cannot change it. No one else can change our world because that world only lives in our head.
So again, we need to take responsibility for our creation, because how the world is occurring to us is created inside our head. Each one of us has a different version of how the world is, right? And that is something that is inside each one of our heads. And the only person who can change it is us ourselves, or you yourself is the only person who can actually change your inner world. And your outer world is a reflection of your inner world.
Many people say that Jesus died for us to save us from our sins. Well, it's a wonderful story, but Jesus doesn't make the choices in our lives. Instead of saving us, Jesus told us what to do. You need help? Okay, you need to follow the truth. You need to forgive, love one another. He gave us all the tools, but we say, no, I cannot forgive. I prefer to live with my emotional poison, with my pride, with my anger, and my jealousy. If we are fighting with the people we love, if we are creating a lot of resistance around us, remember, we live in a world of consequences. We have to let go of that first. We have to forgive because forgiveness is the only way to clear our emotional body of emotional poison.
So again, emotional poison lives in memories, right? And memories are something, if they are taking us down, we need to transcend them. And one of the ways is to actually forgive anything that has really hurt us. If we cannot forgive, then we are holding on to the memory, and the memory is going to poison or is going to affect adversely everything that we are thinking and doing. So it is our choice to either let go of that which is not working for us or to hold on to it. The idea is, again, if anything is depleting us, it is putting us in a depleted state of conscious awareness, we need to get rid of it.
All of us have emotional poison because all of us have emotional wounds. It happens. Just as it's normal for our body to hurt when we have a cut or when we fall and break a bone, it's normal for the emotional body to hurt because we are alive, because we are surrounded by predators, and we are predators also. But there's no one to blame, it's just the way it is. If we blame, it's our emotional poison that makes us blame. Instead of blaming, we can take responsibility for our own healing.
So if you are blaming others, if you're blaming situations, if you're blaming circumstances, the power or your control is not in your hands. It's in the entity or in the situation that you are blaming, right? So you can never heal it. It is impossible. If we want to heal something, if we want to transcend the emotional poison or the depleting energies that surround us, when we are blaming someone, the first thing is that we need to understand that we are responsible for whatever is happening to us. In zero limits, it goes to that extent that anything that comes into your awareness, you've not even taken any action, you've not had any thought of it, but it has just simply dropped into your awareness, you become responsible for it. How is that? Because it becomes part of your inner reality, and your inner reality is created by you, and your inner reality is expressed in your outer reality. So as soon as something comes into your awareness and you become conscious of it, you become responsible for it. So there is no question of blaming anyone for whatever may be happening to you.
If you're waiting for someone to come and save you, well, you have to save yourself. You are your own savior, but there are teachers who give you tools to help you recover awareness and win your personal war. There are artists who can show you how to create a masterpiece of heaven with your art.
So again, no one can help you in these matters, right? We have to help ourselves. There's no one who can really help you. People can guide you, people can show you the way, but you have to do the work. It's an inner work, it's not an outer work.
Let's say that you're a good artist, but then a master artist comes along and says, I like you. I want you to be my apprentice. Come, I will teach you. The first and most important tool for you to become a master artist is be impeccable with your word. It's something so simple. You write your own story and you don't want to write the story against yourself. Second, don't take anything personally. That will help you a lot. Most of the drama goes away if you just agree with that. Third, don't make assumptions. Don't create your own hell. Stop believing in superstitions and lies. And fourth, always do your best. Take action. Practice makes the master. Very simple.
So again, the four agreements, basically, we are writing our own story, right? So if we are not impeccable with our word, we are constantly taking things personally, and we are constantly making assumptions, and we are not doing our best, we can never be our authentic self. When we start operating out of these four tenets, where we are impeccable with our word, we do not take things personally, we do not make assumptions, and we constantly strive to do our best, that is when we will touch our authentic self. And at the end of the day, it's all about practice, becoming aware of what you're doing in your day-to-day life.
Then the moment comes when you start to see your whole creation from another point of view. You start to realize that you are the artistic creator of your life. You are the one who creates the canvas, the paint, the paintbrush, and the art. You are the one who gives meaning to every stroke on the canvas of your life. You are the one who invests all your faith in your art. And you say, the story I'm creating is beautiful, but I don't believe it anymore. I don't believe my story or anybody else's story. I can see that it's just art. Great. That's the fifth agreement. Come back to common sense, to the truth, to the real you. Be skeptical, but learn to listen.
So be skeptical, but learn to listen, right? So I'm not taking anything in face value, but I'm always listening to what is being said. I'm attempting to figure out whether this will work for me or it will not work for me. So I'm always questioning, I'm always looking out for what is being said, right? And then listening becomes a very, very important part of communication, of understanding. If we don't listen, most of the time people don't listen, right? They're attempting to prepare the answer that they're going to give without even listening to what is being said or what the question is, right? And we are creating again our own reality. So how are we painting it? It totally depends on us.
In the dream of the second attention, you need tools to win the war and change your world. And that's what these agreements are all about. These are the tools for transforming your dream, for mastering your dream, and it's up to you what you do with these tools. These five simple agreements have the power to plant a seed of doubt in all those limiting, fear based agreements you made your whole life. The only chance you have to unlearn the lies in your knowledge is by use of the attention. You use the attention to put your first dream together, and you use the attention to unlearn that dream.
So unless you have experienced something, you cannot transcend it, right? So we use our attention to create an illusion. We experience it and then we realize it is just an illusion. And that's when we can drop it, right? So we need to voluntarily drop the illusions that we have created in our lives.
The four agreements are the tools for using your attention a second time to create your personal heaven, and the fifth agreement is the tool to win the war against the tyranny of the symbols. The four agreements are tools for your personal transformation, and the fifth agreement is the end of personal transformation and the beginning of giving yourself the greatest gift that you can give yourself, the gift of doubt.
So again, we transform when we question. The best way to learn is to ask questions, because if you're not asking questions, then there's a question whether you've really understood what is being said or not, right? So we must ask questions. We must question everything that is happening around us.
We have said that it was doubt that made us fall out of paradise. Well, coming back to paradise is once again about doubt. Doubt is the tool we use to recover our faith, to take our power back from every lie and superstition we believe in and return that power to ourselves. Of course, we can also use the power of doubt against ourselves by doubting ourselves, by doubting the truth. In the story of Adam and Eve, when we doubt that we are God, that doubt opens the door to another doubt, and then another and another. When we don't doubt the truth, we start to believe in lies. Soon we believe in so many lies that we no longer see the truth and we fall from the dream of heaven.
So again, we have to handle the doubting also in a very good way, right? We need to return the power to us ourselves. We need to see what things are for what they are, right? And this happens when we start operating in the now, according to me.
Doubt is a great creation we made for going into hell or getting out of hell. Either way, doubt opens the door to be possessed by symbols, or doubt closes the door to stop the possession. If we doubt ourselves, if we doubt the truth, the whole tree of knowledge, all the mythology that controlled our attention, our entire lives, starts coming back to us. The voice of knowledge starts possessing us again, and we begin to feel the anger, the jealousy, the injustice that come with all the symbols, with all the assumptions, with all that thinking. Then, instead of doubting yourself, have faith in yourself. Instead of doubting the truth, doubt the lies. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. The fifth agreement opens the door to heaven, and the rest is up to you. This agreement is about being in heaven and heaven being in you. It's about you letting go of your attachment to become authentic, to believe in yourself without a doubt, because even a little doubt can end the experience of heaven. When you have faith in yourself, you follow every instinct that you were born with. You have no doubt about what you are, and you return to common sense. You have all the power of your authenticity. You trust yourself. You trust life. You trust that everything is going to be just fine and life becomes extremely easy. The mind no longer needs to understand everything. It doesn't need to know. You know something or you don't know it, but you don't have any doubt if you know or not. If you don't know, You accept that you don't know. You're not going to be making it up. When you are completely authentic, you speak the truth to yourself without any doubt. I like it, I don't like it, I want it, I don't want it. You don't have to do what you don't like to do. You enjoy your life doing exactly what you like to do.
So again, it's getting into the flow. The more you start trusting and getting into the flow and allowing things to start happening, the more you start connecting with your authentic self.
We make life difficult when we try to sacrifice ourselves for somebody else. Surely you are not here to sacrifice yourself for anybody. You are not here to satisfy other people's opinions or points of view. In the dream of the second attention, one of the first challenges is the fear of being yourself, your real self.
So again, this becomes important, right? Are you operating from your authentic self or are you operating from the opinions of others, right? Log kya kahenge is a big syndrome that most of us need to transit.
If you have the courage to face this challenge, you find out that all the reasons you were afraid don't even exist. Then you find out that it's much easier to be yourself than to try to be what you are not.
So again, the facade, right? Whenever we put on a facade, we are acting, and that takes a lot of energy. So it's always better to be your authentic self and be present to whatever you are rather than creating an act, because acting is very time consuming and very, very energy draining also.
The whole dream of hell makes you tired because it takes energy to uphold an image, to wear a social mask. You're tired of faking it. You're tired of not being you. Just being authentic is the best thing you can do. When you're authentic, you can do whatever you want to do. You can believe whatever you want to believe. And that includes believing in yourself.
So again, when you're authentic, you are you. Whenever you put up a facade, it's an act. So an example can be, suppose you're told, go on stage and be yourself. There's no problem whatsoever. Then they tell you, go on stage and be this character. Now it takes a lot of effort to be in that particular character. And most of us are playing a character. We are not being our authentic selves. That's why there's a lot of energy drain which takes place in our lives.
How difficult can it be to have faith in yourself, to believe in you instead of believing in symbols? You can put your faith in scientific theories, in so many religions, opinions, and points of view, but this is not real faith.
So a point of view is always a point of view. I mean, if there is a scientific theory, tomorrow we may find that it will be proved wrong, right? Some other theory may start to turn up. So again, it's not the real you. It's not real faith because you're putting your opinion, I mean, you're operating out of the opinions and point of views of others.
Faith in yourself is the real faith. Real faith is to trust yourself unconditionally because you know what you really are, and what you really are is the truth. Once you recover awareness of what you are, the war in your head is over. It's obvious that you are the one who creates all the symbols. And because it's obvious where the power of your word comes from, your word has power. And nothing can stop the power of your word. Your word becomes impeccable, and it's impeccable because you have power over the symbols instead of the symbols having power over you. Once your word is impeccable, you base every choice of your life on the truth, and you win the war against the tyrant. The words are there, ready to be used at your command, but the words only have meaning when you use them to communicate, to have a direct connection with someone. After you stop using the words, they have no meaning again.
So again, your word is power, right? We've seen with the Dr. Emoto also that when we say a word, it actually resonates and it creates a powerful image or a powerful crystal, right? So your word is power. When you start becoming authentic, you start being impeccable with your word, you will see that the universe will start to manifest what you are saying. Why? Because you're saying the truth. Now, if you're saying the truth, the universe will manifest it for you. That's how our Rishi Munis had the Vakya, right? They used to say something and it used to manifest because there was no ambiguity in what they were saying. They were totally operating from the present and truly meaning what they were saying. So it started to manifest. And this is something that all of us can do. But the trick is that we need to be impeccable with our word. Now, when you are impeccable with your word, you're saying the truth, you do not have to manipulate anything more. So you turn out to be more powerful because any kind of manipulation will require energy to manipulate things. But if you're the truth, if you're saying the truth, you will be still, you will be centered. There will be no wavering as far as you are concerned.
By the end of the dream of the second attention, the human form starts to break apart and your reality changes once again. It changes because you no longer perceive the world through a rigid structure of beliefs. The war is over because your faith is not invested in lies. Even though lies still exist, you no longer believe. As you know, the truth just is. You don't have to believe the truth. You don't believe anything anymore, but you can see, and what you see is the truth.
So again, you get out of the belief systems, out of the gossiping, out of the jealousy, right? You are operating from your authentic self. So you're being true to yourself.
The truth is right here. It's unique and it's perfect. Maybe not the way you interpret it, maybe not the way you use the word to gossip about yourself or to gossip about other people. But once you see the truth, who cares what other people are dreaming? It's not important what other people around you are dreaming. What's important is your own experience. To use all the tools you have to face what you believe, to see the truth, to win your personal war.
So again, all the tools that we learn, right, are basically to connect with our authentic self, go into higher and higher states of consciousness, to clear the shaft, to actually connect with the truth. And this is happening inside us. It is not happening anywhere else. That's why gossiping about people, making assumptions about people, there's no point in it at all, right? You need to focus on ourselves. What are we doing? How is the situation occurring to us? What is the state of consciousness that we are operating from? Where are we operating from? What is our intent behind an action? That is something that we need to start becoming aware of more and more.
You don't need to compete with anybody. You don't need to compare yourself with anybody. You just need to be what you are, to be love, but real love, not the kind of love that possesses you and makes you believe in love.
So again, there are two kinds of love, right? There is love, and then there's the possessive love. When you truly love someone, you will give that person freedom. But if you are in love in a possessive way, then you cannot afford to give freedom to that other person, right? So whatever that other person is doing, you will always be looking at it with shak, right? You will always be creating doubt in your mind, and that becomes a issue going forward.
Not the love that makes you become jealous and possessive of others and puts you directly in hell with all the tortures and punishments of hell. Not the love that makes you sacrifice in the name of love or makes you hurt yourself and hurt others in the name of love. The symbol of love has become so distorted. Real love is what you were born with. Real love is what you are.
So baby exists in bliss. The baby exists in pure love, right? But as we grow, we start learning things and then we become responsible for them. And then it puts the facade on we put our facade on ourselves, right? That this looks good, this doesn't look good, etc., etc. But what is real love? Real love is something which is at our center. It is what we were born with. It is what we actually are.
You were born with everything you need to make it. If you face your fears today, tomorrow you will see the dream of the second attention, the world of the warriors. But just because you win against fear today, it doesn't mean that you have won the war. No, the war isn't over. The war has just begun. You are still judging. You still have all those issues. You think it's done, and boom, your tyrant is back. Oh, yes, again and again and again. And it's not just the tyrant in you, it's the tyrant in everybody around you. And there are some that are worse than others. But even if you have been at war for many years, at least you can defend yourself. As a warrior, you may win the war or you may lose the war. But once you have awareness, you are no longer a victim, you are at war, and that's where the majority of people are right now until the war is over.
So again, the key to all this is awareness, right? The more aware you become as to what is happening, where are you operating from, what are you thinking, the more you can actually handle it, right? Because the only way we can transcend our fears is by facing the fears. So we need to pay attention to our fears. What are we fearing? And then go and face it.
In the dream of the second attention, you begin to create your personal heaven on earth. You begin to put your faith in agreements that support life, that add to your joy, to your happiness, to your freedom. But this is just one step of your evolution. There's much more than that. The moment is coming when you master awareness, which means you master the truth, and by the way, you also master transformation. Your master love, intent, or faith, because by that time you believe in yourself.
So the more aware you become, the more sure about yourself you become, right? And when you do that, that is when you can connect with your authentic self, which is where freedom, where happiness, where joy, that is the only place that we will get that freedom and joy into our lives.
The result of this transformation is the creation of another reality that has the same frame as the first two dreams. But in this other reality, you no longer believe you what you used to believe. You no longer believe the lies that you learned. You don't even believe the words that you learned. You have no doubt about what you experience, about what you are. The next dream, the dream of the third attention, is not that far away. But first, you have to win the war in your head, and now you have the tools to do it. Then why not do it? Take the action, but don't try anymore. If you try, you will die trying. And I can assure you that millions of warriors have died trying. There are very few warriors who ever win the war that's happening in the human mind. But those who win the war by using their attention a second time recreate their entire world.
So again, what are we what is the reality that we have created around ourselves, right? What is it we are paying attention to? That is what our dream is all about. That is what our reality is all about. And we have the tools to transcend what is not working for us. And as we say in all the Monroe programs, that trying is counterproductive, right? We need to allow things to happen. We need to get into the flow. We need to just be, and that's when the magic starts to happen. So we can stop here today.